Hi, everybody. Hopefully you had a good weekend. It's a great weekend for football. Thanks for watching, listening here on JTV, online, on TV, the podcast. I'm David. That's Adam. Hello, Adam.
Hello, hello.
It's a great weekend for football.
Lots of good football games.
And it's a great day to be great. Of course, the Detroit Lions, they got a big win as expected.
The
But
biggest of wins.
yeah, it was the biggest blowout in France by 46.
Yeah, which the
52 to
previous one was
6
45.
against the Titans earlier this year.
I think it was Jags. No, this one was Jags.
Because they killed the Titans a couple weeks ago.
You're right, I think it was the Niners. Or no, that's what it was. It was remember when the Chiefs were a really bad team? Remember when they had
Yes, I do remember when they were actually a bad team.
It was then. It was like right before
the
they got
end
Reed.
of Alex Smith, early
Yes.
Mahomes.
It was Matt Castle was the quarterback at the time.
Oh.
Yeah. And that was the last biggest blowout that we had. That was a Stafford and Megatron and all those guys.
But I was holding on to my chest literally at the end because the Bears, we'll talk about NFL at the end of the show more, but the Packers didn't score on that last drive that they had. The Bears went down, got that big fourth down to Rome on the sideline. I'm like, they're going to kick it and they're going to win. I wasn't even thinking about a blocked field goal or what happened to Denver the week before.
I know, that's what I was going to say, 2 weeks in a row.
But he blocked it, the center, just enough to make an impact on the ball.
It was a good play. He got in there. He forced his way in there.
He forced, like Tom Brady said, he forced the double team, was able to get in, get his hand up, and block it.
It was a good play.
That was a big loss for the Bears, too, as far as their playoff implications.
I feel bad for Caleb Williams, man.
I don't feel bad.
What else could he have done? He did everything he could. And
he did. He had a good game.
Yeah.
Keenan Allen had some good catches.
Yeah.
So did Rome. And so did DJ Moore and Swift. They all played good.
Yeah.
And that was a great game. Classic Bears-Packers rivalry. But we'll talk about more NFL at the end. We had a good weekend for high school football, too. There were a lot of good games statewide, not just our Jackson teams. And just like most years, we're down to Lumen Christi now, but we'll start in Division 7. Me and Noah and Jeff Steers were in Monroe Friday night to watch Monroe St. Mary Catholic Central, watching the highlights here over Leslie, 55-18. Big loss for Leslie, but they finished the season 10-2, their first 10-win season since they made Ford Field in 2008. Big highlight in that game for Leslie. We'll have it in our top plays. We don't, one of our top plays, this is it. We don't have video of it, but I still wanted to include it in our top plays because it was a big play. They returned the kickoff, Leslie, the Jaden Colby, to start the second half, 92 yards. And that's what made it a one-possession game. Monroe lead to begin the second half. And from there on, mostly dominant by St. Mary. But Joel Cranmore, the quarterback, ran for 2 scores for the Blackhawks. Still, you can't say enough about the season that Leslie had. Because let's be honest, Adam, coming into the season, if you would have told me that Leslie and Hanover were going to be meeting in the Cascade Championship, as much as both those teams, had a good year, but before the season, if you would have told me that, I would have thought you were crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't expect Leslie or Hanover to be in the Cascade Championship and both, have playoff runs. But a great season, though, for Leslie. And, of course, we've been following them. And it's their only second year now in the Cascades in all sports. But can't say enough, though, about Leslie. And we've watched them quite a few times this season, especially later in the year. But great season for the Blackhawks.
Yeah, and I mean, Leslie was kind of one of the teams this season that, you kind of looked at every single week. And, to me, other than, obviously
once they started stacking up those wins at the beginning of the year, it's like, okay, maybe they are in this.
They were the team to look out for, and they were the team that I was, I guess, most impressed with all year. Of course, Lumen Christi is amazing, but that's the team we're following now. But other than that, dude, Leslie to me was that team this year.
Besides Lumen, Leslie, obviously they were the only other team that was left coming into Friday, but they were the second best. They were the other best team in the area this year.
Yeah, they looked, and look at their passing game.
Now, when I've told interacted with other people who watch the show, and when I've told them that or what my thoughts, they were like, well, how come Grass Lake isn't second? Grass Lake beat Leslie 28-7. Grass Lake I would put as the third best team behind Leslie. But otherwise, Monroe St. Mary, their running back, Drew Harris, number 22, you'll see one of his long touchdown runs in the top plays coming up after the break. They were the number one team, though, in Division 7 coming into this game. So I had, like I said last week on Wednesday, I picked Monroe St. Mary. Coming in, I kind of knew how that game was going to play out, and that's exactly how it did. But again, before we move on to Lumen, can't take anything away, though, from Leslie. Again, and their quarterback, we've talked about him all year, Joel Cranmore. He's only a sophomore. They're only going to, just like Springport, they're a young team, they're only going to continue to get better, and they have some of their weapons coming back next year, too. So I expect Leslie to only get better. Leslie and Napoleon, I think, will be the top two next year in the Cascades East, because both Manchester and Grass Lake are losing all their skill players almost, and their receivers and their quarterbacks. So I think way too early projections looking at next year. I think Grass Lake and Manchester take a step back. Center is still young, so I think Michigan Center will make the playoffs again and be in the mix. But great season for Leslie, 10-2, their first ever Cascades football championship, and their first 10-win season since 2008. That was on Friday night. You can watch the highlights and photos from Jeff Steers online, and my game recap as well online, JTV.tv. And then Saturday, me and you were at Lumen Christi to watch them absolutely dominate Constantine.
Yeah, they did.
Before the game, Noah Baker was like, oh, it's going to be running clock. And I was like, yeah, but Constantine's a really good team, and they are.
You didn't believe them.
And they are a good team. But it's Lumen Christi, of course. 42-6, Lumen over Constantine. Running back Cadell Williams, 3 touchdowns. You know, he only had 85 rushing yards, but he had 3 touchdowns.
I feel like I didn't see him break any huge runs early on, but yeah, he had those touchdowns.
And, of course, a lot of the backups came in and played in the second half. So Kenyon Bashinsky had 2 touchdowns as well for Lumen. Timmy Crowley only had to pass 6 times, 5 of 6, 114 yards. Isaac Raber, Cassius Griffin, 8 tackles apiece for the Titans. We will be at the semifinals this coming Saturday, and then next Monday we'll have interviews and stuff from after the game. Lumen taking on Marine City. Of course, you remember us mentioning Marine City earlier this year. They played J-High at Marine City Week 9, so that's where the common opponent comes in. Lumen, Marine City at Novi in the semifinals Saturday at 1 o'clock. Marine City put up 50 on a decent Jackson High team, too, so if that's any indication of how this game will go. Early preview for this game, I don't think it'll be running clock. Obviously, will Lumen take care of business and go to Ford Field again? Yes, but it will not be running clock, I don't think, like we saw last week against Constantine. And like you mentioned, not big numbers on the stats for Lumen. Of course, they'll get the job done, 42-6. Any key takeaways from you from the Saturday game? Of course, Lumen did their thing. Constantine's a good team. Not taking anything away from them.
Right. I mean, like you said, Lumen kind of did their thing, kind of just, it was 42-6. So they kind of just dominated. You know, we kind of knew partway through. We didn't know going into the game, like you said, if it was going to be close or if Noah was right and it was going to be a blow up. But dude, it was like a few drives in, I kind of knew it was over. Lumen was just a different team.
And it was only 7-0 after the first quarter, and then it's like only 21-0 at halftime.
Right.
And it's like, okay, only 21-0. If Constantine comes out and scores here, they have a little bit of a battle, and then at the end of the third quarter, it's 42-0.
Right, exactly.
So Lumen, Marine City, Saturday at Novi. We will have photos. We'll show you some highlights. And we'll have some post-game interviews. So all the coverage we'll have next Monday from Novi. And speaking of Lumen Christi legend, former NFL player, and from Michigan State, Kari Willis. He is the latest episode on our other new podcast here on JTV, the Monday Mornings podcast, of course. Don't miss the Monday Mornings podcast. Andy Hawley, Jennifer Scanlon. They're also the MCs at the Lumen Christi auction.
I saw that. That's awesome. Yeah.
This week, of course, former Indianapolis Colts player, MSU Spartan, Lumen Christie, running back Kari Willis. You can follow the podcast on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube. So check it out. I've watched all 4 of the episodes so far, and they've been great. Of course, I know you produced that as well. So that's been going awesome, and I've watched those. So that'll be cool to be able to watch and listen to Kari Willis, and of course. Retired after only 3 years in the NFL, so they'll talk about that and what he's up to now. So really excited to watch that and for you guys to have that as well. So watch on YouTube and on our website and listen on the podcast as well. So and Mr. Hawley is one of my heroes as well, so it's always cool to listen to him.
There you go.
No, I'm just kidding.
Whoa.
No, but no, you can check out video highlights and photos from all the high school football coverage online at JTV.tv. The team who Springport should have played if they were still in, Decatur, and they are playing Riverview Gabriel Richard, who beat Manchester last week in the D8 semifinals. And, of course, semifinals a neutral site. Jackson High is hosting a semifinal.
So is that the semifinal... The other one, like, so the winner of that faces Lumen, or is this a different...
This is Division 8.
Do we know what the 2 other teams are that's going up against that Lumen potentially could face if they win?
I don't have it on my prep here.
We'll figure it out, and we'll mention it before top plays, because I'm curious. I don't even know, so I'd love to figure that out.
It will be... I take that back.
Do you remember?
I don't remember.
Oh, you don't remember? That's fine. We'll figure it out.
But photos, highlights, and more, JTV.tv. Of course, check out the Monday Mornings podcast. And then, of course, we'll be at Novi on Saturday for Lumen and Marine City. Coming up on today's show, we'll have our top plays of the week from Pataki Orthodontics, Green Bay with a big win, Lions with a big win, and we still have 2 volleyball teams left deep in their playoffs as well. High school hockey kicked off. We'll preview all the matchups this week for our college basketball teams. And everybody was talking about the big fight Friday night that really sucked.
Yeah, I could barely even call it a fight. Now, the fight
before that was awesome.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, I don't ever watch boxing or UFC. I'm not a big boxing guy or UFC person, but and I watched some highlights of the John Jones fight.
John Jones.
And his celebration dance after the Joe Rogan interview. Yeah. You know, a lot of NFL players. Did you see that? A lot of NFL players did that celebration too.
David Barker was saying that up here. I hadn't seen it yet, but I got
Zadarius Smith did that.
He did that?
Obviously, they showed it live on the CBS or Fox broadcast, but when they clipped it back and posted it on social media, they cut that part out. But... yeah, I watched some highlights of the John Jones fight. Big win for him.
Yeah, beautiful kick.
Now, it was, I think, is he still on the fence about retiring or not? Because Joe Rogan had asked him about that. Obviously, I don't know a lot about it. That's why I was asking you. But they were talking about him maybe retiring, doing one more fight, or...
Going into this fight, he mentioned that this was probably going to be his last one because this is a big payday. But it was a pretty easy night for him, so I think he's probably
how many rounds did that go?
It went 3.
And how many
it
were
was partway
there?
through the 3, 5. It'd be 5 for a main event, or for a title fight. But yeah, it was, he was just on top of his game, and Stipe just had an off night. You could tell, but Stipe's getting up there in age too. Nothing to take away. He's one of the greatest ever. But
so how old is John Jones again?
That's a good question. He's in his mid 30s. I would
mid
say.
to late 30s.
But there is a heavyweight that is kind of the I don't know if he is the interim champion. I think he is the interim champion. So he is due to face John Jones since John Jones is the champ. But
yeah,
it's for the right money. And Tom Aspinall, as good as he isn't the name that Stipe is. But John Jones will, no matter who he faces, John Jones will sell a pay-per-view. Kind of like Tyson, right? They'll sell a pay-per-view.
Right.
Doesn't matter who the opponent is, just based on their name.
Even if it's Jake Paul.
Yeah.
A YouTuber.
Can I please get Jake Paul versus John Jones in an MMA fight? It would be the easiest night of John Jones'
Jake
life.
Paul would get...
Man.
his you know what rocked by John Jones in the if they're in the octagon,
yeah,
first round.
Oh, he would just immediately he would immediately take him down, and
kick him in the face, and that's it. Yeah. But we'll talk about the fight more coming up, and the fight before that was better than the main event.
It was. And Jones is 37, by the way.
37.
So he's getting towards the end of his career. I'd give him 1 to 2 more fights max.
Like when Floyd came back to fight Conor McGregor, he was what?
Floyd was like 42 or something.
Yeah, I was gonna say he was over 40.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that coming up. We'll have Jackson College basketball live on JTV next week, so we'll get to that as well. So a lot coming up on today's show, thanks to Pataki Orthodontics, the Insurance Circle Agency, and of course for helping us bring you our high school coverage, Minuteman Sewer and Drain as well. So our top plays of the week when we come back here on JTV. Welcome back here on JTV. Thank you to the Insurance Circle Agency. Hey, speaking of the Circle, before the top plays, can I give a quick shout out here? Of course. Tomorrow, Tuesday, if you're still watching on Tuesday, want to give a birthday shout out here to Dave Rice. Dave Rice Jr.
What?
Yeah, Dave Rice III here.
Of course.
But got to give a shout out to the Dave Rice from the Insurance Circle Agency. Tomorrow, Tuesday, is his birthday. Yeah, I know he's turning 35.
Well,
tomorrow.
Happy birthday, Mike.
No, I'm just kidding. He's not. He ain't 35. But no, happy birthday. So happy birthday to Dave Rice. Happy birthday, Dad. I know he tunes in on occasion, sees our clips. So appreciate and of course this show wouldn't be possible without the Circle
for sure.
Either.
That's right. So thank you
and all the staff there as well. So great team. Had a quick birthday shout out to him. So thank you for everything that he does in the Circle Agency. So now let's get to it. Are you ready? Our top plays of the week.
Let's do it.
Thank you to Pataki Orthodontics. A great smile is always in style. Pataki Orthodontics, Grass Lake, Go Warriors, Hillsdale, and Coldwater. Here we go at number 5. Timmy Crowley only passed 6 times on Saturday, 5 of 614 yards for Lumen Christi, including this deep pass here to number 19, Cash Kalahar, 9:25 left in the second quarter. Again, like you mentioned earlier, Adam, we didn't see a lot of big runs from Cadell Williams, and Timmy Crowley only passed 6 times for Lumen Christi.
That is so crazy, but his throws were on target. They were on point. And I mean, how many yards did you say he ended up? 114 yards on that.
6
That's
passes.
crazy.
So Timmy Crowley at number 5. And number 4, Cadell Williams doing his thing. One of his 3 touchdowns for the Titans on Saturday. His 28-yard touchdown run here to extend the lead for the Titans. That is at number 4. At number 3, number 5, Josh Dumont for the Titans. When you think about Lumen Christi, you think about the quarterback. You think about, of course, Cadell Williams. You don't think about a lot of the other key players because their run every year, it's not just Cadell Williams gets the ball and scores or Timmy Crowley. It's everybody. It's the fullbacks. It's Bashinsky and it's Rayberg. Yep. And it's the wide receivers, Dumont and Cash Kalahar. Josh Dumont with 8:15 left in the second quarter, getting a touchdown. 6 points there for number 5. Again, I mentioned earlier we don't have highlight for this play, but I had to put it in here because I probably could have put it at number 1, but at number 2, Leslie kickoff return to open up the second half. That made it only a one-possession lead for Monroe St. Mary. That was the closest the Blackhawks got on Friday night. Jaden Colby returns at 2 yards for Leslie. That is at number 2. And at number 1, one of 4 touchdowns for running back Drew Harris, number 22 for Monroe St. Mary Catholic Central. 64 yards untouched on a halfback counter to the house. And all the little kids there celebrating with him, the future of that program.
That's right.
So that's our number 1 play. That's our top plays of the week from Pataki Orthodontics. A great smile is always in style at Pataki, Grass Lake, Hillsdale, and Coldwater. When we come back, we'll preview our college basketball matchups for the week for JC and Spring Arbor, and high school hockey and volleyball. Volleyball, we have 2 teams left still, so we'll get to that coming up. Welcome back here on JTV. Thank you to the Insurance Circle agency, myinsuranccircle.com. Put that in your web browser. Go to the Insurance Circle. It will cover you on everything.
I was still muted. I do that a lot. Put it on a t-shirt was what I was going to say.
Put it on a t-shirt, underdog, and give it out to 100 people. I'll throw that in at the end of the show, by the way. You know, they're staying alive.
Yeah, I saw that text. I was very happy to see that text.
And then the LFG text I put in there
Yeah.
after. I actually didn't mean to send that to the Rice Report.
Oh, did you?
I forget who I was
I
supposed to send that
I had a
to.
feeling you were sending that right to us because I thought that was
Actually-
I thought that was directed towards me. You know.
Well, not intentional to the Rice Report. But it worked out. It was a great game. High school volleyball regionals, we are down to 2 teams going into the regionals last week, Tuesday, Thursday. We had 3. Tecumseh beat Western in 4 sets at Gabriel Richard to end their season. Concord defeated Menden on Thursday night at Bellevue in 4 sets. They are taking on St. Joseph Our Lady of the Lakes Catholic on Tuesday. That's a mouthful. At Richland Gull Lake in the Elite 8 in Division 4. And in Division 3, Hanover rallied to defeat Clinton in 5 sets. Noah Baker said that was one of the longest volleyball matches he's ever attended.
Wow. I wonder how long
Clinton won the
No, go ahead.
Clinton won the first set. Hanover won the next one. And I think Clinton won the next one to go up 2-1, and then Hanover rallied and won the next 2 to make it 3-2.
Wow. I was going to say, I wonder what Jeff Steers thinks was the longest one he's ever gone to, because I bet you
he doesn't stay for the whole game. Sorry, Jeff.
That is a good point, yeah. Well, because, to his credit, it's to go to all other games. You know, you get a first half of one, you might be able to get a second half.
Unless
of
if it's like Ford Field, obviously. But
Right,
besides that.
Speaking of Ford Field, by the way, we talked about before last break or the previous one, about who Lumen Christi is going to face potentially at Ford Field if they get there. The other semifinal is Boyne City versus Lansing Catholic.
Yes. Duh, me and Andy made those picks on the Aspen show.
Oh, so you did know.
Because we picked, I just couldn't remember the
Yeah, no,
teams.
you're good.
We picked Reed City over Boyne City, but Boyne City won. And I picked Newaygo over Lansing Catholic. Andy picked Lansing Catholic.
That game
So you can go listen to the Monday mornings
that game-
podcast.
That might tell you what happened there. Lansing Catholic won against Newaygo. They won 49-36. That's a lot. They scored 49 points on that.
What a game.
Yeah, dude, in a regional. That's crazy. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see who wins. You know, we might be seeing one of those two teams at Ford Field by the end of the year.
If I had to guess, probably. I don't want to make picks. I've been getting them wrong.
Yeah, me too, though. But I'll take Lansing Catholic. I'm just putting that out there. It'll be Lansing Catholic against Lumen at Ford Field.
You know, real quick, because I know we're supposed to talk about volleyball, but real quick, last year, Lansing Catholic beat Michigan Center by 1 point in the first round of the playoffs.
Whoa.
35-34.
Wow.
But high school volleyball, back to Hanover here. They are also playing Monroe St. Mary, who is also the #1 team in volleyball, too. Tuesday night at Ypsi Lincoln in the Elite Eight. So Hanover and Concord still live. We'll have photos and more on Wednesday's show coming up here on JTV. High school hockey kicked off recently and over the weekend. Lumen had 2 wins. They won 5-1 on Friday at Optimist and 6-3 over Eastside on Saturday.
Eastside?
And then Jackson United won 10-1 right after that at Optimist on Saturday. You can find photos from our own Jeff Steers from both games online at jtv.tv. And it was such a cool, it was a touching moment here Saturday before the Jackson United game. They honored one of their late players, Jacob Burbank, who passed away from cancer. So that was cool. They honored his number in the rafters, number 35.
That's really cool.
So that was cool. I do have that picture actually. So here it is. But that was cool, and it was a great win for Jackson United.
Yeah, and I hope we're going to be doing live hockey. Of course, this year we're going to be doing those 2 games. So hopefully we'll be able to do a nice little tribute piece to them. We're planning that right now. So
yeah, and who knows? Maybe we'll get to have a sneak preview of it.
Yeah, for sure.
Later
We'll do
on.
something. Yeah, we'll do that.
But you can find hockey photos online at jtb.tv. And, of course, next I'm going to preview it a little bit more, but we'll have live Jackson College basketball next Tuesday, the 26th, here on JTV, live at 5:15, the men's at 5:30, the women's at 7:15. But this week, the Jackson College men's team 1-3, need a couple of bounce-back wins here. They play at Delta College Wednesday and at South Suburban on Saturday. But the women's team is 4-0. They made the national tournament last year, so they're having a nice start to the year. They're 4-0. And both the Spring Arbor men's and women's have had a really nice start to the year. They play at home versus Mount Vernon Wednesday, Saturday at Marion. The men's are 5-1, and the women's are 6-1. So we'll have the scores from that in our daily scoreboard if you check that over the weekend on jtv.tv. So really good starts for our hockey teams. Both Lumen and JU, and then JC women's, and both the Spring Arbor men's and women's team are starting off really good. So it's not just good basketball and volleyball and football teams in right now. We have some really good collegiate teams in the area as well, and we'll be able to watch the undefeated women's team next week live from JC. So I will not be there, unfortunately, at JC. I know. I was hoping to be there.
How dare you? How dare
I know. Other
Of
JTV
course.
obligations.
Yes, of course.
But I will be watching though. I will be watching from where I'm at.
Yeah.
And who knows? I may just text the announcers my thoughts on the game as we go through.
Good.
I'll be there in spirit.
Do you know who's announcing that game?
I do not know. I don't want to give out false
Yeah,
information.
no, that's fine.
Fake news.
I'll have to ask Noah next time I see him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we'll have more info on that on Wednesday's show, and we'll give you the start time and everything. We'll be live at 5:15 next Tuesday. So really good start for Spring Arbor and JC women's teams. And, of course, on Wednesday's show this week in a couple of days, we'll have volleyball scores and some photos as well. So a lot of good fall sports left. And then the winter is starting. And today was the official first day of practice for high school basketball.
Hey, it's coming back.
It is. So when we come back, we had a lot of good NFL Week 11 games. We had a good Thursday game, really good Sunday night game.
Really good Lions game. Yeah.
Chiefs Bills.
That was a
So
great
we'll
game.
get to that when we come back. Welcome back here on JTV. I'm David Rice. Thank you to the Insurance Circle Agency. I had to take the hat off. I'm sweating with it on
Getting a little warm in here.
a little bit. You know, Green Bay is a big game. The next 2 games or 3 games
Who they
are
got?
big. This coming Sunday, we have at Lambeau against the Niners. You know our history with the 49ers.
Go Niners.
Thanks. And then the week after, Miami coming to the cold on Thanksgiving night at Lambeau.
That's gonna be a cold one.
I like our
I like your
chances in that
there.
game.
Yeah.
Now it won't be negative 40 wind chill like the Kansas City, but and then the week after at Ford Field, Thursday night football.
That's the big one.
The day before our hockey game on the 6th.
That's you should be happy that I'm not making. Oh wait, you're not gonna be at the hockey game, right? Or are you?
I will not be at the hockey
Nah,
game. I don't
see,
think so.
I would have loved to.
Maybe I will.
If you would have had, show up because then I'll make you wear your Lions
No,
gear
no,
if you're
no.
there. Yeah, I mean it's part. It's it's part of the deal. No, we'll still leading up to that. We will still have you break out the. I got the Hutch jersey waiting for you. Can't wait.
Well, I lost the bet. I gotta
Hey.
own up to it. I already lost one bet today, and I owned up to it.
Not on a good winning streak right now, man.
No, I'm not. NFL Week 11. I'll be honest. I didn't watch the Thursday night game. I started watching
Me
it,
neither.
and then I decided to take a 3.5-hour nap at 9 p.m. at night, and
Those
I
are-
missed the entire game.
those are great.
And it was a 1-possession game.
Yeah.
and I missed it. And then of course Packers over the Bears.
Good game.
7-3. Now, a win's a win in the NFL. Great division win, great rivalry win for Green Bay. Excuse me, but they still did not play well. Some of those decisions to go for it on like 4th and goal at like the 5 or 6, and you make Jordan Love, who's still kind of hurt, not 100%, try to do it on his legs. I'll tell you what, somebody who finally is having big games, Christian Watson had a huge game.
Did he? Okay, I didn't see. I was on Red Zone for part of that, so I didn't see all
He
of it.
only had like 4 or 5 catches, but he had almost 200 yards.
Wow. Okay.
Including one if you watch highlights or on wherever he in the 4th quarter that set up the touchdown to take the 20-19 lead. He had a leaping, open, diving catch, barely held on to it. They had to review it, but he didn't get touched. So he got up after and ran like an additional 40
Wow.
yards and got it all the way down to the 10. Love punched it in. So Green Bay's 7-3. And because Minnesota struggled, now they're still winning, and Minnesota's already beat Green Bay once. But this Lions-Packers game at Detroit really is the division decider.
I'm at Minnesota.
Green Bay still has to beat Minnesota the
Okay.
other time because that would be split 1-1.
Oh, okay.
And the Lions already beat the Vikings
You're right.
once this
Yep.
year. So I think if Minnesota has to beat Detroit, and then Green Bay has to beat both of them to win the division. Unlikely for all 3 of those things to happen because the way Minnesota's been playing, they're not beating Detroit.
Right.
But Lions still 9-1,
Woo.
52-6.
Woo! Biggest blowout in
Jags.
Detroit Lions history. I love it.
Classic Ravens-Steelers matchup. You know what's funny is that the Bengals scored 5 touchdowns on that Thursday last week to lose to the Ravens. The Ravens scored all 18 of their points on 6 field goals yesterday and beat the Steelers.
The Ravens lost to the Steelers.
Or it lost, but still, it was a close.
Well, it came down to a 2-point conversion to tie it, so it's like it was close enough. I looked this up, and it's crazy to think. Like,
I only watched the very ending because I was watching the Packers. I wasn't on Red Zone.
Yeah, I was gonna say I tuned into the football games later, but I did get to see like the final drive of that Ravens Steelers game. And here's a crazy thing: like going into the season, I would have said like Ravens are one of the favorites in the AFC, right? Like one of those 3 teams that were like the heavy favorites in the AFC. They are the number 3. I think I looked it up last night. I think they're the number 3 overall offense in the league in terms of points scored. Guess where they're at defensively? If you had to take a guess. Out of 32, where would you put the Ravens defensively this year?
They're in the bottom 20s.
They are like 28th.
And that's what's going to get them in the playoffs.
Exactly.
And that's what got them yesterday.
You can't do that. And especially against it's not like that Steelers team is loaded with offensive.
Now, granted, right, they still beat the Bengals, but the Bengals still scored 34 points in that game.
So you're looking, if you're the Ravens, you have to expect to score like 30 to 40 points just to win.
And it's not like they have bad players on their defense either.
But here's my thing. The Lions, like I was worried about facing them in the Super Bowl. The Lions would destroy that defense.
Right now, if the Lions played the Ravens, Lions by several possessions.
I don't think there would be a way that they would hang with them, so because our defense is still in the top.
Right.
So it's like we're talking about.
But the Lions suffered another big injury though yesterday with Anzalone.
Yeah, that sucks because he does so much for the team. But it's I think it's 6 to 8 weeks, so he'll be back.
Broken forearm.
He'll be back for the playoffs.
Yeah, as long as everything goes on point,
everything will be good. Everything will be good.
Well, I mean, as far as the recovery.
Yeah,
timeline.
no, I have full faith in our training staff to get him to full health in time for the postseason.
Especially after Quay Walker pushes our medical team.
Yeah, dude. What the heck? Stupid Quay Walker.
He hasn't been doing what anyways.
Oh, okay,
so, another classic Chiefs-Bills game. If any of you watched the CBS pregame, they were live on location in Buffalo, and they brought out folding tables, and they were jumping through tables in the pregame.
Oh, that's cool.
Even Coach Cower threw a table.
We got to do that one time for one of our friendly wagers. That should be the stipulation. The other person has to go through a table, like the Bills.
I'd be happy to lose that bet. I don't mind jumping through a table.
So that'd be fun. It'd be a fun segment.
I get on there and the table doesn't snap.
Yeah, we get.
So I just jump and nothing happens.
We go to the conference room and we just use the conference room table. That one would hurt.
Well, we got to take that outside. You can't do it in here.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah, because we'd have to jump off of something. Maybe jump off like the truck or something.
Hey, if our bosses are watching, you did not hear
I didn't say that.
Where we jump off the company vehicle.
No, I didn't say that.
But no, it was a great Chiefs-Bills game. And as soon as Josh Allen made that run and spun and got in the end zone, as soon as he scored, that was it.
Everybody knew it was over. That was 9 points, so everybody knew that was it.
Finally, hate on me all you want. I'm glad the Chiefs finally lost. I think a lot of people are happy with that. Because you know what? I think they finally deserved a loss because of some of the close games that they've had this year that they really should have lost. Blocked field goal, beat Denver. The very first game, Likely's toe was out by literally his toenail.
So yeah.
The bad calls against Cincinnati. It was close against Tampa. They went down in overtime and dominated overtime. That's 4 losses right there.
I mean, here's the thing. This game, all that this game has done is set up a Kansas City win against the Bills in the playoffs. That's what I think is
in the AFC Championship game.
If that's where it comes down to, they could face them in the divisional round like they did a couple years ago. I just see that happening. I see Kansas City still getting a home playoff game. That game will still be probably in Kansas City, and give me Kansas City in that game. And I hope I can go back when that happens. I hope I can go back and find this clip of me saying that so I can show it to you and be like, see, I knew. But that'd be funny if they lose. I'll still find this clip.
And then we had a really good Sunday night game. Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers, they were up 27-6 in the third quarter. Cincinnati, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, who had a really good game last night, by the way.
Jamar
T.
definitely
Higgins,
did. Yeah.
both of them.
Yeah.
Cincinnati scores 3 touchdowns in a row, ties it at 27. Chargers go down, punch it in the end zone at the very end, and win it. So that gives Cincinnati their 6th loss now. They're 4 and
So crazy.
yeah, 4-6. And the Chargers are now 7-3. If you'd have told me going into the season the Chargers would be 7-3, now I knew they'd still be better with Harbaugh, but if you'd have told me coming in they'd still be 7-3,
Oh yeah, I'd call you crazy.
yeah,
Yeah.
just because they'd been struggling so bad before.
Yeah.
But that's what Harbaugh does. They showed a package of it before a play yesterday when Stanford struggled. Harbaugh goes to Stanford. They turn it around. They're over 500. The Niners struggled. Harbaugh goes to the Niners. They make the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Harbaugh goes to Michigan. It took 7 years for them to finally get it together.
But they
And
get
after
it.
2 playoff losses, national championship, plus all of the suspensions, and they still won it all.
Yeah.
And Sharon Moore coached in those games for him. He should be fired, by the way, but I'm glad they didn't play this week. They needed 2 more bye weeks. And then he comes to the Chargers. They struggled really bad the last couple years, and they're going to be in the playoffs. As long as they don't screw it up here the last couple games, which they shouldn't, because they have a few more division games, the Chargers are going to be in the playoffs. Herbert's a really good quarterback. That's somebody who deserves to be in the big games. And I'm glad the Chargers are finally getting the recognition now and getting the big primetime audience, because before they were like on at 4:30. They were like the bottom broadcast team on CBS or Fox. Like nobody watched them. And now they're on prime time. I think we should see them on prime time a couple more times this year. You know what I mean? They're 7-3.
I was gonna say with the
Who
record,
wants to keep showing the Cowboys or the Bengals?
not the way that those 2 teams have been playing.
Right.
You know.
Or the Bears,
The
or any of those teams that they keep showing on prime time. Or this Thursday, the Steelers are going to absolutely maul the you-know-what out of the Browns on Thursday night.
Oh yeah.
That's
I don't know.
going to be
Browns-
horrible.
Browns beat the Ravens.
But they just got killed yesterday by the Saints.
Ooh, the Aints.
The Aints. That was bad, too. That was a bad game.
Yeah.
Taysom Hill, he hadn't done anything this year, and out of nowhere, 3 touchdowns. He was the rushing
Yeah, I
leader
heard
yesterday in the NFL. And, of course, I had him last year in fantasy, and he did awful. And the one time this year I wanted to bring him back to my team, I didn't. Next week, guess what he does yesterday? Leads the league in rushing yards this week, 3 touchdowns.
Good
It's my
gracious.
luck. I still won in fantasy this week. I told you last week I needed to win, and I said it was going to be a low-scoring battle between me and Josh. It was low-scoring, and I got the win. So now I'm 4-7. Yay.
Hey, there you go. Start the turnaround.
I can still win the toilet bowl bracket, though, and finish
Remember
5th
what I told
place.
you? I said you could be 5th place after this whole season.
I'll be happy if I finish 5th or 6th out of 10th. 5th.
Did you see that I'm now 9-2 in fantasy? I've now
Well, yeah,
won
you killed me last
9
week.
straight wins.
Oh, you started 0-2?
I started 0-2 and I've won 9 straight.
Wow, I
games.
didn't know you started 0-2. Nice.
Yep.
Real quick here before we go, how is Netflix going to have their infrastructure to keep up with the 2 NFL games on Christmas? Because so many people had so many, buffering, spinning, and so many bad things happen in their broadcast team. The whole production was awful.
Well, we talked about
And
this.
the main event was so bad. Go ahead.
We talked about this before the show. They got the contract for Monday Night Raw for WWE. That starts in January. So they got to have this
Every
figured
Monday?
out. Yeah, every Monday. So that is a weekly show. So they're going to have to figure that out on top of figuring out for NFL. Now, I think they do. They're a big company, and this was the first big live sporting event, I'll say, that they've done. So I'm not shocked that they had these issues, especially with how many people. Like, a lot of
Well-
people are saying this is one of the most streamed things.
before, they've had only a couple live events. They've had, I think, a couple like F1 racing.
F1 racing, they had a golf event,
They had some golf. That's what it's going to mean. They had golf
Mm-hmm.
and then the Tom Brady roast.
But nothing as big as the way this fight was marketed and how many people watched this fight.
Oh,
There were
right.
people
Yeah. This
that-
was nothing compared to...
There was people that had never watched that were like, I saw on my friends list that were like, oh, I'm watching this game tonight, and I never would have pegged them as watching that fight. And it's just kind of like, it's surprising. So I think a lot more people watched it. So they got to figure it out by Monday Night Raw, though, by the end.
And I think more people, at least my age, watched it too, because my age group growing up, Jake Paul was just the guy on YouTube.
It was smart, and then everybody older is going to want to watch it because of Tyson. So you had that like weird grouping of the two generations. It was interesting.
I didn't expect anything else here, but my quick takeaway here before we wrap up, Tyson, he almost died. He even said it himself when they had to reschedule the fight. I mean, he almost died. So the courage for him to even get back into the ring, was great. A lot of defense was played mostly by Tyson, which I didn't expect anything else. So you know what I mean? A lot of his hands, which is what he always did in his career, though, right? A lot of his hands more up here, played a lot of defense.
It's the peekaboo strategy. I mean, and that whole idea of that peekaboo strategy is to be deceptive, but then it's also to generate more power as he's like moving in, sweeping in like that. He's generating more power for his hook. But I'm not surprised that that's how it happened. You have somebody that's that old, that's way past their prime against even an amateur boxer. Probably would have went around the same. The co-main event, though, to me was the main event of that night. Serrano against Taylor was a great fight. Serrano should have won. I just want to say that was the real main event of that card.
She got robbed.
She did for sure. That should have been Serrano.
And the ear and just the bleeding. Oh,
it was such a fun fight to watch, and I'm so glad I didn't really watch much of the Jake Paul fight after that because I was satisfied.
I was watching it. We were on our way back from the Monroe Leslie game, and I was watching it on my phone. Yeah,
buffering every 5 seconds.
Yes, but for me that was only because we were driving in some spots they didn't have good service.
Oh, okay.
Obviously, it wasn't on Wi-Fi.
For me, I was at home.
Oh, even when I was at home, I had the buffer.
Yeah, I was gonna say because I was at home with gigabit internet, and I'm hardwired in, and I was still having those issues. So it was Netflix. They got to figure that out.
It's an infrastructure issue.
But I bet you they will figure it out by the end of the year.
Well, no, they got to figure it out in the next few weeks because they got the Christmas, the two NFL games on Christmas.
But at least by the end of the year, they're going to figure it out. I think less people will be watching the NFL games, as crazy as that sounds, than this Paul fight.
Really?
I think so. You don't have the draw. Like, people were like, I'm not doing anything else tonight.
Well,
it's such a spectacle. I'm just going to watch it compared to just another NFL game.
Talking to, who was I talking to up here earlier about? I think more people would watch, but that's because it's not on your CBS or Fox or NBC. It's on Netflix. I know.
Yeah.
9 out of 10 people you could ask on the street, do you have Netflix? Yes.
Right.
But still not as many people have Netflix versus even an antenna or a regular TV. So
I just think the draw of Tyson is bigger than some NFL game. Like
watching the Chiefs beat the living out of the Raiders on Netflix.
Right. But it's the holiday season, so it could be. But yeah,
there's going to be better basketball games and football games.
Sure.
And the day after Thanksgiving, Black Friday, Amazon Prime's got a Friday 3:00 game.
Oh, that's kind of cool. That's different.
I know Al Michaels does not want to work.
He's not happy about that, I bet.
And I forget what teams are playing, but it's awful too.
Of course
it is. Oh, so horrible.
Of course it is.
That's going to do it for us. Of course, you can always subscribe to JTV Sports and to your favorite school. Thanks to Pataki Orthodontics for our top plays of the week, and thanks to the Insurance Circle Agency. Happy birthday to Dave Rice again, turning 35. That's Adam. I'm David. We will talk to you again on Wednesday. Thanks for watching and listening. Have a good day.